The battle for the mind of North America will be fought in the video arena.
So this is my OV app, the public traffic app, and every column you see is a check-in and a check-out and the amount of money. So all these check-ins are by bus, or it says bus.
Yeah.
And here you see these are all the bank cards connected. So they're my passes are 3 of them, which they're gonna charge. So they're all of
So
them.
this is the app that they use for the 50-minute sitter bullshit, right?
Yes, correct. For the public traffic that you need to have, so you can do your payments. And if I go back, this is my digital ID. So if you want to go,
That's from the Dutch government.
yes. So if the Dutch government is there's no internet connection. Well, if the Dutch government wants to have a want to communicate, because you need to do your taxes, you log in by that app. You're doing your taxes. It's the digital ID app.
And it's funny because governments are pushing the idea of simplicity.
Well, it's always fun, and it's always it sounds always really great, and it's really easy. But things that make it easy in the digital world is actually making people stupid, because you don't have to think about what you're going to do. And if that's continuing day after day, year after year, decade after decade, you don't know how it's supposed to be. You always have things by the government decided for you. So I'm always saying smart car, smart housing, smart wallet is gonna make you dumb. So don't be
Yeah,
dumb.
absolutely. Basically moving the intelligence from the individual to a machine, which is that.
The apps, the government owned apps, yeah, it's making you dumb.
So this, guys, is a fair warning of what's going to happen if we don't pay attention that much. We are going to end up with an application doing just that.
And
Tra-
yeah, it's government owned, so it's your digital ID. It's the public traffic. If you want to have an airplane, you're on.
Yeah, that's a widget. Yeah.
That's the website. If you want to transfer money, it's the Tiki app, their bank app, because
Yeah, that I recognize that's all. That's the ING.
that's the ING. Well, you need to have that app because there are no bank shops. We had 10 years ago. We have over 6,000 bank shops where you can go into a bank, and nowadays the big banks, the ING, the Rabobank, and the ABN AMRO Bank, has less of around 200 bank shops. So
Like bank shops, you're talking about branches.
yeah, so you can actually physically go in a bank shop, having questions or getting money from the bank or deposit money on your bank.
Yeah.
So there are only ATMs, and there in my city where I live, there are 70,000 people living, and there are maybe 5 or 6 ATMs, and they're closing at 10 o'clock. So if you want to get money out of your bank, you need to do that before. And sometimes there's no cash left over in those register, so you can't get cash. So that's the other things that we need to deal with.
Impressive, hey? And people don't know about this stuff until it actually hurts them.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming, and I'm going to share the video, and I'm going to release the video I just recorded somewhere like Thursday-ish. So let's stay tuned.
Well, thank you, people. Make sure it's going to be shared. Follow freedomcalendar.net. I'm Jasper for CSTV. Follow me and make an effort. Well, thanks.
Awesome.
Our feature speaker was here for the Canada Day, or the Albertans Day celebration at the Whistle Stop, July 1st. He is all the way from Amsterdam, Holland. He's a journalist, has a podcast. The reason I really wanted him to speak is because he was telling us some stories about life in Amsterdam. And it's like, oh yeah, that's coming here for sure. It's not necessarily focused on Alberta independence, but it is focused on personal liberty, privacy, some major concerns. Europe is headed down the wrong path, for sure. Like we're headed on that same path. We're probably 6 months to a year behind them. And we seem to be led by a government who would love to see us more Europeanized. Carney would love to sell us out to the EU. After all the elbows up, Team Canada, strong sovereign nation, Orange Man bad, all that kind of stuff. You know, Canada's Canada, will always be Canada, now and forever. Well, yeah, it will be, if he gets his way, we will be the first post-nation state. We will be a member of the European Union, and it will just kind of be this blended country or economic region with Europe. And as other countries are getting out of the EU, he wants to get us into it. So it's that's kind of the, pardon me? Yeah. Yeah, he's a European. I mean, he's proud. Yeah. Yeah. So August 12th, okay. Next meeting here, August 12th. We'll have a speaker and we'll announce that. So I kind of got on I get rambling. So what else do I need to tell them about you? You've been here a few times? Yes, he is a chef as well, right? Or a trained, yeah. So, anyway, I'm looking forward to what he has to say and slightly, like we can see the signs here. Like I say, Europe is ahead of us, heading down the wrong path, so it'll be a bit eye-opening. Some of the stuff you were saying the other day is like, oh, okay, had no idea.
Well,
So looking forward to it. Here's, how do you say your last name, Smith?
Smith.
Oh, it is Smith.
Without the H.
Oh, so Jasper Smith without the H.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Well, thanks. Thank you, Kurt. Ladies and gentlemen, first let me say I'm really happy to be here. I love to be around with freedom people and celebrating like it's a family. And I'm gonna tell loads of things tonight that you're gonna be shocked maybe. I'm shocked about it, but if you see it coming, if you know it's coming, you're gonna have to answer it, and a different answer than if it's right in your face and you not know it. So first, let me say I'm happy that the APP exists. We don't, in Holland and in Europe, we don't have that kind of organization. We've got small sections of it, but the APP and the referendum what's coming up, I think it's a good thing. Because if you're living in a sovereign country and believe that the people have the power and the people in politics should take care of their own citizens instead backwards, a referendum is a part of it that it's the best thing in it. So as I'm from Holland, we don't have a referendum, and I think this is, I guess it's your last chance to get votes in to make sure that your voice is being heard in Parliament, because the people in Parliament should do the work that their own citizens want. And by a referendum, it doesn't matter if you're for separation, I hate that word, or against it, go out and voting. So that's democracy, and that's democracy that I think that it's the best way to run your own country. So as a journalist, I wholeheartedly support the APP and the referendum parts are coming up. So make sure your friends know all about it, and make sure when the time is there that you be there and make sure you're gonna vote for it, whatever your opinions are. And then first I need to thank, of course, Chris, that he's inviting me again over to your lovely province, Alberta. It's so wonderful to be here. When I arrived on the airport, I saw the Canadian flag, and I was actually a bit of shocked. Like, which is weird, because in Holland, to show a Dutch flag, it's almost feel it's not allowed. So when I came up the airport and saw the Canadian flag, I was stunned, and I was, wow, no, well, this should be normal. You should be proud in your own country. And when I arrived in Alberta, I saw all the Albertan flags hanging around. I said, well, this is fun. Well, good on you. And then, of course, I'm talking live. It's going to be recorded, and it's going to be posted on X, Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter, X, I have to say, on freedomcalendar.net. So if you want to see this back, and you're seeing this back later on, thank you for watching. I'm here, and I want to tell you about what's going on in Holland. And Holland's supposed to be a sovereign kingdom, the kingdom of the Netherlands, but actually we're not sovereign anymore. I guess they're saying 80%, but my beliefs are 95% of the new laws who are overriding the Dutch laws, who've been in place for centuries, are mandatory by the European Union. And you see the Parliament of the European Union. There are over about 750 people in there from the 26, 27 countries that they're now in the European Union. And they're actually elected. But they voting on stuff that's happening on the background where people are not elected. So presidents of the countries and the states in Europe are in there making decisions, and then the people who were actually elected by the citizens in Europe are voting over that. So they can't sort of bring up new things, because that isn't allowed in the European Union. So people who we don't elect are in Parliament, and then we're dealing with new rules and regulations and laws coming in. And I'm a journalist. I'm specialized in politics and court cases. So a lot of times I'm in court, and then you expect in your mind that you know the Dutch law and the judge is hammering on something else. And these are the European laws. And that's shocking to me. And um, that's one of the part that's hitting hard. And I'm actually here talking about, I want to talk about the stuff about the 15-minute cities. I think everybody heard it, but it's in our face. Holland's supposed to be a front runner. We're experimenting on everything. I'm driving a diesel van, and I'm not allowed to go anymore with my diesel van into 17 cities within Europe. Not in Amsterdam, not in Rotterdam. I can't go to the airport with my diesel car because it's a zero emission zone. And it's a bit of an old car, but still it's my car. So if I need to go to court to do my job or go to politics in the political district of Den Haag, I can't get into that city. So it's basically mandatory that I need to take public traffic. And we have great public traffic. A bus stops in every corner. You can hop on a train, hop on a metro, hop on whatever. And it's really easy. They made it really easy. It always sounds really easy and fun. But then, you have to check in digitally. You have to have an app, a mobile app. It's called the OV app, the public traffic app. That has to connect to your bank account, your digital bank account. You have to have 20 euros at least on your bank account, otherwise you can't check in. I can show it. Let me get my phone. I've got it with me because I promised that I have some evidence. It's a beautiful pink app.
I need to check.
Here.
I want to see a black screen.
Oh, hold on. It's coming up. He needs to think. So where is Jasper? Is he in Canada? He doesn't need a public traffic. Oh yeah. So you see, on my app, I've got my credit card and my debit card connected to it. Otherwise, it doesn't work. I have to fill all my details. I have to fill in my email address. And if I'm going in so I need to park my car if I'm going to Den Haag or to Amsterdam or to the airport. I need to park my car somewhere out of it. Then I have to check in with my bank card or with my mobile app. You immediately see it on your mobile app where you're checked in. And then you're going to sit down. And then there is this camera in your face who's recording everything. So you're based in, the other part is there are screens hanging that you're sitting in that bus. So you're watching yourself in that bus and thinking, okay, I don't want to move. I don't want to do anything. I'm just sitting here. You're being watched all the time. What else for the bus? Oh, the bus are, of course, electric. So, and then I'm waiting on the bus stop, which has an electric sign. It's coming in 10 minutes. And then the bus won't show up because he didn't recharge. And maybe you've seen the pictures or the footage from China with the electric bus and the thing is going up. And then it's recharging. It needs to recharge because it needs to do its route. And then you're sitting in an electric bus, seeing yourself on a screen, a recognition camera, and a TV screen. And then eventually, when you arrived, you have to check out. And then it's automatically the amount of money is immediately coming out of my bank account. I don't have problems for paying, but this is the worst part. So, and the same thing with a train. If you hop over on a train, you have to check in again, the whole thing. If there is a problem, we've got loads of immigrants coming in. There is a telephone number where you can call or WhatsApp that you can get some help, that the police is coming in or people who can help. Well, I'm a man, I can do my own business, but so that's one of the parts. And well, then you're in the smart city itself. basically with all the central stations there, and especially where I live, so that's in front of my face. On this, I guess, on the place where this building is built, they're building a new 15-minute city. They're building high-rises on this type of square. 10,000 people are living there. High-rises going up with 10,000 people, and they're only having 300 parking lots. Well, and then the citizens can come in and they went to the local townhouse, and it was like, well, 300 parking lots. I need to park my car somewhere. I said, oh, well, okay, let's make 500 out of it. Let's make a deal. So 500 parking lots, 10,000 apartments, and the price started. And the other thing is I love definitions. I love really definitions. And I hear it in Holland, and I hear it as well here as in Alberta. Everybody say, we need to build houses. We need to build affordable houses. So, but what is the definition of affordable house? Well, I can tell you because they're selling those houses in Holland. They're starting from 370,000 euros. That's a 40 square meter apartment. And going up. So you have to pay next to your mortgage, of course. There is an elevator in, and it needs to be cleaned. So you probably have an additional cost from, I think, somewhere about 200 euros. Each month you have to pay for the electricity to be able to clean up and stuff, with no parking lot. So if you have a car, don't forget it. You don't owe nothing and gonna be happy. So that's what they're building. And then now the expensive housing houses need to be sold. There's a commercial on Facebook that says, it's totally in English, not in Dutch anymore. And it's you see an Indian guy saying, well, this is pretty much, I've been surfaced all over the place. The house is already decorated. There's a couch in it. Guess what the price is? If I translate it in Canadian, it's about 750, 800,000 euros starting price. Affordable housing. So if people are talking about what I'm saying, definitions, what is affordable housing? Keep on asking yourself that question all the time. Then, of course, you're having to throw away your garbage. So there, where I live, I have to have a pass. There's no container. There are underground containers. And I have to walk with my garbage outside to the underground container. I have to touch my pass to that container, and then it's opening. Cost about around, for throwing my garbage away, it's cost about 360 euros a year. And it's up to 160 kilos. Now, and in what is it? I believe it's in 2026 or 2027, the garbage that I allow to throw away, it's 100 kilos. So, and in 2030, it's 0 kilos. So, what you need to do is not having one garbage bag, but you have to have 10. You have to separate for the government carton, paper, plastic, glass, your banana peels, potato peels. It has to be all divided in it. You have to do the work for the garbage man. And then, if you're not paying, you can't open the garbage. So that's another thing. I'm an expert in food because I've worked my whole life in restaurants, and I've been grown up for over 30 years. I had my own restaurant for 10 years. So you're always gonna have that problem, but it's mandatory by the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs of the United Nations. And everybody, sometimes you hear the 15-minute city. It's all part in there. But what I like to do is go back to the source. Who is the source of the 15-minute cities? And because nobody is telling, it's just this happy thing that the United Nations is saying, the World Economic Forum is saying. But actually, he's a member. Carlos Moreno is a guy from Colombia who fled to France in, I believe, something 1970 something, who is a city rebel, a Democrat, who is a city guerrilla. So he was a violent guy on the liberal side in Colombia. If you look it up later on, there was a heavy fight against all other sides. But that's the guy who fled to France, made up the urban city thing, which he called the 50 minutes city. He joined the United Nations and he joined the World Economic Forum. He is a professor at a university somewhere in Paris. And he is the guy who invented the 50-minute cities. So if you know your opponent, then you know exactly why he's doing that, why people are forcing that. And actually, I was sitting in the Whistle Stop Cafe and on the terrace, and Kurt was sitting next to me, and I told him this story about I can't use my car anymore because it's a diesel, it's an old car, and I need to go into the city. Then I'm using the app from the public traffic, and he said, but even on the highway, the highways here are quite massive. In Holland, we can't drive a big car because of the pollution and all the national carbon, everything. If you drive on the highway, we have things in a row that measure your car weight. We've got, and that's the other thing that I was a bit of shocked, but it's still weird. On your car, you have only on your back a license plate. In Holland, we have on the back and the front a license plate, because cameras need to see it. They need to see if you pay your insurance. They need to see if you paid your road taxes, and of course, they want to if you well behaved. If you're, oh, hold on. I'm having the red one, I see. And you need to well behave, because if you're driving fast, there's a traffic thing that is measuring your speed level all the time. And if you don't, sometimes you're a bit late or think, I don't care. And you're driving fast, you're getting automatically fined, and you're getting your invoice, your fine sent home because the speeding camera saw it. If you don't wear your seatbelts, you're going to be fined. Of course, I'm all up for if you use something that you need to pay. If you're driving a road, you need to pay for it. If you need to get your gasoline. So it's not that I want it, but I don't want to be checked. I want to live my life in freedom, and I'm a good citizen. And if I'm not well behaved, then the police should be coming in. But to be afraid all the time that there's a camera and coming up in your face and gonna be fined, I think it's horrible. And bits by bits, you see it all over the place. So I see we drove on the highway and there was a camera hanging, and there's just one, but one will turn up in 10 and will turn up in 20,000 something. And you're going to pay for it. It's not the government. All your taxes, what you're paying, it's your money, and it's not going to prosperity. You're working hard to have a beautiful life, to have a beautiful family to own, to go to your work, to be an entrepreneur. You want to work hard for it and not being taken away by, I guess, 80% what you're going to make by the government that they're going to tax you into oblivious. So these are all those kinds of things. And here, you're a gas nation. You're pumping oil out of the ground, which I think is fantastic, because you're not only using oil for driving your vehicles or heating your house. Clothing is made of it. Your glasses is made out of it. Your telephone is made out of it. And they forgot that at some point. So even if it's a natural material, your stitch is going to be made out of petrol. So how do they gonna do that? So keep on pumping oil, and you need to trade with Holland because we're driving now. Holland is driving to Germany, and we're driving to Belgium to go to the shopping mall and to buy gasoline for our car because it's cheaper there. And if I'm translating it, what's cheap? It's €2.20 a liter. That's cheap if you're going to Germany. And I think it's $2.50 in Holland a liter. But we're a small country, but we're with 18 million people, and our country is 17 times smaller than Alberta. So we're circling around ourselves all the time. So 2 hours driving, it's far. We end up in Groningen or in Germany. But it costs a lot of money, and what you're paying for your gasoline, or paying for an electric bus, or paying for some politician guy flying over to some different country to give away some money, we're paying for that. So it's, I guess, I don't want shock or something, but it's coming, and you better be prepared. So that's why I guess what the APP is doing, it's wonderful. They're giving you a chance to be a sovereign nation, to get out of Canada. And I believe that that's possible, because if you look up the numbers, you only need 177,000 people to get that referendum. The APP is over 250,000, over 250,000 people.
How much, Chris?
Wow.
300,000.
So you're basically already there. 15 years ago, we had a referendum, a federal referendum. We had the quest coming in if Ukraine could join the European Union. And the citizens voted, the majority voted no. So they went up to the European Union and they said, our citizens don't want Ukraine to come into the European Union. So, well, okay, let's put that somewhere in a contract. And then the government came in and said, well, you guys been bad. Let's erase the referendum part. So if you're not, so I think the referendum that the APP is starting to be an own sovereign nation, to make your own decisions, not somebody else somewhere on a different part who's never been here, or maybe the European Party. Make sure you're voting for yes, because this, I guess, is your only chance to get a referendum, because the government is not gonna like it. So it's always sound wonderful. The sustainable development goals are always great, but if you look up and you look into it and you see actually what's going on, it's putting Holland at least in a prison. That's how I feel. So make sure that that never happened to Alberta.
Anyone has any questions here? I'm just going to pass the microphone. Raise your hand.
I'm happy to answer all of your questions. So if you want, come up to the microphone, or the microphone, it's coming to you.
Yeah.
I don't have a question, but I kind of have
Oh. Yes.
So this is it's kind of a statement to the room more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm hoping really hits home is what is in our future if we don't act. But the good news is we can act. Mm. We can act. You've heard it before, but think globally, act locally. Our local municipal elections are coming up. I haven't been a very good point person for Central Alberta Municipal Conservatives, but I'm trying to be. If you are interested in running for council for Lacombe Ponoka County Town, please contact me. I'm not aware of any candidates. I know they're out there. I'm just not connected that well with them. I would like to support those candidates who are conscious. You don't have to be a sovereigntist. Just maybe someone who sees that there's trouble coming, and it doesn't have to be a big thing, especially in a small council. It doesn't have to be a big commitment, but it sounds doom bloom, but these times haven't come here, and they don't have to come here, because the programs that they're signed up to, if they are optional. They are optional, and all you have to do, like Cochrane just booted Ickley, yeah, and all the council had to know was, is that really what we're signed up for? And they're like, okay, we're out of this. Stettler also kicked him out. Ponoka, as far as I know, is not signed up to Ickley.
I was just asking if Ponoka is, and like I'm past the point of taking some administrative individual's word on that. I would like to see something in paper.
Yeah, I don't know, but I have some homework to do to find the answers to that. And for people who are watching the recording or online, this is Bonnie Meikle talking. I just don't like being on video.
I'll remove it.
So, Lacombe Ponoka area, contact me. Let's get something started municipally, please. Actually, Ponoka County doesn't have to be told a lot. You guys, last election, you had 84% turnout. That's amazing. Give yourselves a hand. Town of Ponoka was 32. Lacombe County, town of Lacombe, or city of Lacombe, all around 30%. County of Ponoka, over 80%. Good on you guys.
So that's what I'm always saying is we need to have 4 roads. And one thing is we need to have the right journalists in place. I love to ask politician people and hard questions. And if they don't answer, I'm running after them, that I demand an answer. I don't get them, but at least I'm harassing them at some point. So the right journalists in place. Then we need the right people in politics. So if there are elections going up, support them. Then we need people like you, who's sitting here in the audience, people that are supporting, that are going to demonstrations. That's the third part. And the fourth part is that we need people who are financing. Because journalists need to be financed, the political party needs to be financed, and of course demonstrations and things like this need to be financed. So, and if that works out, I'm broadcasting things that need to be broadcast. I'm putting politicians in front of the camera who needs to have a voice, but they need to be backed, and they need to be backed by people like the APP or people on the street who are doing demonstrations, and that needs to be financed. And if these things are in place, you're gonna move mountains. So what Bonnie is saying, if you're up for it, you're already great that you're here, but if you want to do something extra, join local politics or some sort of thing. If you have the time and you want to be there, I think it's a great thing to do that. Yeah.
Hi. I'm wondering who really runs the show in the Netherlands? Like if England, it's the City of London, the Square Mile, the Rothschilds. I understand it's France, it's Alexander de Rothschild runs the show. Who really runs the show in the Netherlands? The royal family, or you got some banking families, or what goes on there?
Well, of course, that's the people that you don't see. Of course, we've got bankers. Bankers needs that. They want us to have bank loans that we tied up, and will be paid up and stop nagging. And so these guys are there, and we think, of course, our political parties are in place, as well as in the European Union, but. We had a new parliament. We had last year. We had in Holland. We had a new election coming up, and actually, it was the most right-winged party ever. So the majority in that. I don't think we're there yet enough, but it was a step forward. And Geert Wilders, you know, Geert Wilders, the guy with the blonde hair. You see him. Had the most voting in, and he was part of the coalition, and there was behind the in parliament. I call her the queen of healthcare. She's standing in politics for over 20 years, screaming her ass off that there needs to be changing. There needs to be more funding, no more money for hospitals, more money for elderly care, all that kinds of stuff. And now she came in, she was actually a minister of health. So I thought it was really great. And she was standing behind the talking post in Parliament, and she was asking in the language of, I speak a fully politician. So I understand what she was asking. She was asking for support. What happened when she came in place, and then you're going to be instated by the king. Before that, the Secret Service came in. And it was mandatory before she was in place as a Minister of Health that she recognized the United Nations and she would recognize the World Economic Forum. And there are 16 of those organizations because in health, if the United Nations is going to war or NATO is going to war, there has to be money over if people in the army is going to be injured. There has to be money for blood and medicines and all that kinds of stuff. And of course some secret stuff that she couldn't tell about, but she was begging for people who were standing up and standing behind her. But she, these are the guys, want to be answering your questions, these are the guys who are coming in. And of course, behind in the NATO and behind the Europe, the UN and the World Economic Forum, there are still people in front of it who are the face of that. How you call them?
Structure.
Exactly. So yeah, there are people twisting and turning around who are doing that, and they're having these are, yeah, I guess we're calling them elite, and or maybe if you're a bit older in Dutch, the fifth column. Look it up; they're the same people. These are actually ruling. So the treaties that we're having with the United Nations, with the UN. These are mandatory and obligated to follow up, and it's a power grab. They're taking more power out of our sovereign country. Yeah, I hope I answered your question.
First, an observation. We need to know who those people are because they are our targets. We need to go and get them out of power. But the question that I have is, do you have in the Netherlands? Do you have groups of people who are serious about wanting this type of change like we have here? And if they are there many, and are they growing, and are they attaining any kind of foothold in making change in the Netherlands?
Well, thank you first for your question. Yes, we do have those. So we've got a couple of political parties. We don't have a Democrats or a Republican Party. We're having 16, 17 parties in our parliament with all different kind of flavor, mostly left-leaning or globalist thoughts. But on our side, on my side, on the right side, or the sovereign nation, we've got Forum for Democracy, who is actually in parliament. Thierry Baudet is doing a great job, but they want to kick his ass because he is saying things that they don't like. Of course, we've got Geert Wilders with his Party for Freedom, the PVV, but it's a right-wing party, but they have some left-leaning thoughts in it. We've got For the Interest of the Netherlands, who's not now in Parliament. He has been, but they're in the province and in local. So in all some town halls, they are in there. But to give an answer to the other part of your questions, we don't need to get those people out. If you're fighting them, they're more wealthy, they're well known. We don't need those. We don't need to fight those. If you make the right decisions and get out of treaties, get out of these programs, you don't have to deal with those people. So instead of giving them attention, just ignore them and do your own thing. Let Alberta be a sovereign nation.
Are you optimistic?
I got a question before.
I'm sure. Maybe I'm sounding a bit, but I'm really optimistic because we're a growing family. And I think in Holland there are of the 18 million, I need to say, 18 million Dutch citizens. There are 2 to 4 million on our side, and then we've got the silent majority. And every time everybody bumps his head because they can't pay their food or support their children, they're coming in, they're going to ask questions. So we're a growing family, and we're having a seat at the table. And it's taking time, and I think that's the part. But if you see it growing, and I seeing it growing, it's just a matter of time.
Just a question. Big Brother knows that you came over here.
Yes.
And they probably know what you're doing. So when you go back, do you get into trouble?
I know. I know I've been followed. I know the Secret Service looked me up. I know all that stuff. I know I'm in the Secret Service agendas, but I don't care. So I went to a court case in Haarlem, and I made a photo of Virus-Truth, who is a protest group, who had a court case from David Icke. And I was there for interviewing and all that kind of stuff. And I made a photo on the hallway, and I wasn't allowed because I have to play by the rules of the court, and I'm happy to oblige because I need to work. I'm happy to play by their rules. Well, I'm doing my own thing. And the court case was over, and I had to go to the toilet. Normally, I'm running out to set up the camera stuff, but I had to go to the toilet, and I made a photo of the guy in the hallway. And before I know, I wanted to go out, and these policemen standing here in court. And I'm Dutch, so I don't give a fuck. And I was walking around them, and they were like stepping over. And said, "Jasper, you made some footage." And I go, "No, I didn't." He said, "Yes, you did." I said, "You made video and you posted it online." I said, "No, I didn't." "Well, what's this?" I said, "Yeah, you're asking me about footage. That's a photo. That's a different thing." "Well, it's already online. What do you want me to do?" "I don't have any bad intentions. Do you want me to erase it?" I said, "No. I know you're not causing problems." "Well, these police agents don't follow me. There's a whole team behind them that they know what I'm doing." So to answer your question, yes, I know I've been followed. I know I'm being checked out, but I don't care. I want to do my own work, and if that means that I end up in jail, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm just a question about your nationalist work together. You mentioned Thierry Bedeau or whatever.
Yeah, Thierry Bedeau.
Yeah, and he's with FED International or something like that.
As well, yeah.
And then there's John Laughlin as part of that as well. He's on the English side of it.
Yeah.
And then you've got another nationalist, Eva, I can't pronounce her.
Eva Vlaardingenbroek.
Yeah, boy, she's great.
The hot blonde girl.
Yeah, she's great.
Hi, Eva.
So is that whole crew working together? And the second question is, how bad is the immigration over there, and you guys going to do anything about it?
Well, I'm independent journalist, and we're all doing our own work. But behind the scenes, of course, there's a network. So if I've got a question, I'm in a WhatsApp group, for example. So there are all kinds of podcasters, journalists, politicians, protesting guys, who has a really large following. So and then we're discussing things. What do you think? Who's doing that? Tomorrow is in Groningen a court case because a lawyer who's been wanted to have Bill Gates, Pfizer, the guy from Pfizer, and some Dutch politician, Mark Rutte, and he wanted to head to court, but the authorities picked up that lawyer. He's in jail, and tomorrow is his court cases because he's a sovereignist. So yeah, well, everybody knows each other, but they're doing their own thing. So if somebody get out, or picked out, or want to stop because it's a big deal sometimes, then there are enough other people. Yeah. Immigration. That's a big issue. next to the illegal immigration, we have somewhere about 110, 120,000 people from Ukraine coming over, so they're staying in hotels. Each person costs at least 170 euros a day. So these are in hotels giving fed 3 times a day meal. The amount of intake that Holland is having, it's at least 700 persons a week coming into Holland. And that could be coming up to 800, 900, depends on the week, but at least 700. They're all gonna have a Dutch nationality. They're all being given a passport. They're all giving them a house before the Dutch citizens. They're all giving them 10,000 euros to buy a couch and TV and all that kind of stuff. Free healthcare, free dental. It's madness. And they've got a spreading bill, if I'm translating it, and the spreading bill means not only in one place that they were being helped, but now small throughout the whole of the Netherlands. If there's a town for 300 people living, they're building an AZC or buying an hotel, a 4-star, 5-star hotel, and they're putting their 500 young men in there. And they're all bringing their family over, so husband, their wives, their children. And the minimum amount of money that they're getting is, I believe, 3,100 euros, which is more than 4,000 Canadian dollars a month for doing nothing. So you see, if they're getting, if you don't have to work for your own stuff, you see them hanging on the street, using drugs, massive stabbing, massive shooting, massive rioting, massive stealing from shops. So it's a big deal. If I'm going to city center, friends of mine don't want to go in on Friday night to do some shopping because they're hanging out, using drugs, robberies, the floor is dirty, it's nasty. Yeah.
Are they getting fed up?
I am.
Have you thought about moving here?
I get that question all the time. I think your province is really beautiful. Alberta is really beautiful, but my fight is in Holland. So I will be back. Yep.
Yeah. Is that it? Yeah. Jasper, 2 questions.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, the RCMP or the police in Europe were usually pretty good and for the citizen. So number 1, how has that changed in all of this? Do you know anything more about the difference between Tommy Robinson doing his journalism and his uncovery compared to Holland? And third one, is Holland armed?
We don't have a Second Amendment. We can't carry guns. We can't carry knives. So the violence is owned by the police, and the police. I'm supporting our army. I'm supporting our police. They do a hard job, but their boss is the Ministry of Defense. So, and then they've got the local sheriffs and all that kind of stuff. They're following orders. That's their job. So if there's a demonstration going on, and we had loads of demonstration of the Freedom People, and now we've got a demonstration of Extinction Rebellion, and Extinction Rebellion is, oh, they're beating us up. Yeah, they did that with us. Where were you saying something? So, but the police is just following orders. So, but that's political arranged. So it's always people in politics who are deciding what's good and what's not good. So that's why I think, I know for sure we need to have the right people in politics, because then we could change that violence.
Thanks. Before I ask my question, I'm supposed to remember to say hi to you from our friend Jordan Kosick. Yes, he
Hi, Jordan.
Yeah, there you go.
We had fun.
Yeah, Fabio. That's someone different, of course. These immigrants who get all this money and stuff like that, are they subjected to the same piddly diddly details that you are with having to swipe your card for this and asking permission to take a fart and that kind of thing? Do they have to obey the same rules that the nationals do?
Of course they should. Not so much.
And they don't get the penalties probably that you would get.
No. If I'm going into a bus, sometimes they don't check in. And I'm working hard and I'm paying for that ride and they don't. So it's always the dividing part. But I think they should check in. They're getting everything. So they're getting a bank card. They're getting money on it. So it feels probably different. But it's never enough. It's never enough. They're robbing people. Like a young child from 15 years old, they're robbing their cell phone, which is costing 1,500 euros nowadays, probably. Something, a new iPhone, what costs a new iPhone? 1,500 Canadian, 2,000 Canadian. So they're getting all that kind of things, and it's unfair. That's unfair. I think the fairness it's wrong. Yeah.
I've got a question here. What was the effect that had the farmers truck the farmers convoy at the political level, at the grassroots level?
How do you mean the involvement, or?
My question is, what happened after, like during the truck convoy, but the farmers convoy in the Netherlands? At the political level and at the grassroots level.
Yeah, well, the people who are in place in power have their mind set on something. So if it takes a long time to get our people in there, but afterwards, if you don't say no, they're gonna. We have a saying in Holland. If you're giving them a piece of your finger, they're taking your whole hand, and that's what's happening. So if you don't give them a finger and push back, they will not take your whole hand. So the pushback is a great thing, and then we there are still farmers who've been kicked out of Holland, need to sign a contract that they're not allowed to farm anymore within the European Union. So maybe that's why there are a lot of Dutch farmers now here, seeking freedom and stuff. But it's still going on. But it's always divided. And everybody. It's not only the farmers. There are entrepreneurs. There are families. It's in every type of corner and every box they gonna kicking our ass. So by just saying no and giving an answer and standing in front of them and just saying no, we don't want this, it's slowing them down. And until the time we're there, we're taking over.
Matthew Rowley here. I'm wondering how in the Netherlands did all of this come about? You guys didn't in one day go from freedom-loving, happy people defeating the Nazis to destruction and loss of freedoms. Mm-hmm. So how did that happen?
What do you mean exactly?
How did you guys go from relatively free to where you are today in the Netherlands? What has been the key places where you should have stopped it and you didn't, I guess?
How are we calling that? Holland was the number 4 wealthiest country in the world. So we were luxury standing back, thought that our politicians did a great job. And it's like a frog in a pan. It's step by step by step by step. And at some point, people you're hitting your face at somewhere, and at that moment you're realizing that something is going on. Is that an answer to your question a bit?
I'm interested in where you guys should have stopped them. What was the key moment that you missed?
I think actually where we had to wake up was actually after the World War. Because then the new rules and regulations were in place, and that was a basement to make those steps. And every 10 years, they're putting new rules in there, and we didn't look for them because we had it that great And it's step by step by step, giving away sovereignty, giving a step to the United Nations, to the UN, and it's a frog in a pan, it's step by step by step. And that's maybe also their advantage point, because if you're comfortable living your own life and the water in the pan is a bit more warmer, then you think, oh, well, I will manage, until you're not. So for me, I was a restaurant owner. I had 2 restaurants, French cuisine, and then there was a thing coming on, a form coming in from local authorities that I arranged something. I had to pay up for them, and I need to confirm them within 2 weeks. And I had questions about it because it didn't make sense for me. And there was a phone number on it and a phone, and they couldn't give me an answer. And eventually, for me, I went up to the local town hall because there was something going on at that talking point. And I was just sitting there looking around, what's going on, listening to the stories. And then I shook the guy's hand because I thought his talking points were great, and another guy. So that's how I did it. And that's over, I guess, 10, 15 years ago. So, and at that moment, if you love it or not, Mr. Trump was going to politics, and in the Dutch national television, they had him quoting something weird. And I was getting mad at him. I was, what? And at that moment, I took the whole interview, it took 1.5 hours, and the context of that whole interview was different. And I thought, I'm being screwed over. And that was my step by step by step by step. And when I watched the mainstream media, I saw something on TV. I thought, this doesn't make sense. I want to hear. I know what's the subject. I know every point. But why can't I hear it? And that's how I got started and involved by Common Sense TV. Just saying hi, and then eventually something came up which I had all the knowledge about, was writing articles. And then the farmer protest in 2019 came up. So I went to Den Haag, followed that, and there was an Extinction Rebellion, the left side, on the airport, a demonstration. I live close by the airport, and I went to the airport just to see how it worked out, how the police is doing, how the authorities is working out, just visualizing how things are working. Because there was this thing in my stomach saying, this is weird. And afterwards, COVID came in and we get the demonstration, so I knew exactly what the police was doing and how you should arrange the demonstration and who needs to be in front of the camera and all that kind of stuff. And that growth. You're welcome.
Hi, May here.
Hi, May.
I had a very similar question about where it went wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe that in many ways we are at? How much you know about, pardon me, Canada here? But are we at that point where hopefully we still have time to change the course, not just with Alberta, with a referendum, but where's that tipping point where it's too late, you've gone too far?
Well, it's never too late. Even when I'm in Holland sitting in a bus being checked in, it's never too late. So that's the other part, and that's a good question where I get really enthusiastic about it. The only thing what's need to be done is payment, because we're loaning stuff away, and it's financially gonna hurt. That's the negative. That's the only negative and positive part about it. It doesn't matter how long you will wait until you have the right amount of people in place. The only thing is, under the line, there's an amount of money that Canada or Alberta or Holland needs to pay back. And the longer we wait, how more expensive it is. But I think we love prosperity, and we're going to work hard for it. So we're going to pay back that. But then eventually, we're free. You're welcome.
Hi. First of all, thanks for giving us this good view of what our future might look like. But I have 2 questions. Is European Union or Brussels viewed as a oppressor by general public? And the second question is, who does your military answer to? And who is the boss? Would they defend your people or would they work for Brussels?
Well, in Holland we have a sovereign army, but it's now almost everything is given away to Ukraine. But the Dutch are under under the command of Germany. So yeah, so Germany is fighting in Ukraine and somewhere else all over the world. There are 80 places in the world that are having problems, but the Dutch are under the authorities of the Germans. So what didn't work out 80 years ago did work out now. I think the military will follow orders, and the orders are political decisions. So I guess that's answering your question.
Hi, my name's Brad, and thank you for coming here, Jasper. I've been going to these different meetings in Red Deer, and basically about putting suites above garages and then 4-plexes and 8-plexes to fill in different parts of older parts of town. And you notice it, that all these people that come from City Hall, no counselors, they're slow walking the population in, because I think 60% of the people are dumber than shit. I'll just put it that way. Because they're going to communism and they don't want to learn, and I don't know what we're going to do but to go and educate people that dumb. Like, when I write on YouTube that 60% of the people in Canada are friggin' dumb, and they're just sheep, but I don't know how we're going to wake them up. And probably people don't like what I say, but if you got any suggestions to try to get them on off their ass?
Yeah. Well, thank you for that question. We don't need dumb people. So if you can't convince them, we don't need those. And you're saying it's 60%, I don't believe it. Of course, there are always political choices. I'm doing politics and court cases, so I've got an opinion about politics. But the other side as well. But we're creative. We're more smart. We're able to work for it. They don't. So I guess we're the winning part. And then on the other side, of course, you've got the trolls on the internet. Hi. I think they're fun. And I want to say thank you to them, because they're taking the time, I don't know where they get their time from, to make points that are useless. And if you look into their profiles, they're always working for government. So they're working on universities, they're working in some sort of authority, they're nurses, they're these kinds of people. And I'm not saying that nurses are left-leaning, but if you look up their profile, they're always on government payroll at somehow. So we are financially hurt at some way or another, and if we're getting in power, we're hurting their wallet. We're gonna financially hurt them. So it's not weird that they're raising their voice, but it's a nonsensical point for at least for me. So what I'm always doing is I'm planting in seeds. I'm not starting about the elite or the fifth column. I'm just giving them a little seed, and not being hard-handed, not trying to convince them, because it's not. If you do that and you run into the wall, you can't pay your health insurance or something, and you have that plant seeded in your brain. And you be gentle, and eventually they will come back to you at some point, and they're gonna ask maybe a question, be a weird question somehow, but it's I think it's a form of kind of respect, and then give them a bigger answer, and point at a direction where they can find the information themselves. Because if you look the information up yourself, it's harder, and it's going to be printed in a brain than somebody else who's saying something. You're welcome.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm sitting here actually very appalled and stunned and hurt. Hurt for my parents who fought in, both mom and dad, in that war. Really hurt for my father-in-law, was one of the guys who freed your country with significant losses. I have been amazed that Canadians, having gone through that, are sucked back in now, and it goes to Brad's point probably. Are they really that bone-ass stupid? You know, but I'm appalled that those in the Netherlands would not see this coming. How, you say, yes, there's some on the left who are never going to come our way, and we ought to ignore them. What percentage of you in Holland are freedom thinkers?
Openly spoken about, it's somewhere of the 80 million, I guess somewhere between the 2 million and the 4 million. And I guess there's always 80% who don't want to talk about politics. And then you've got the leftover percenters who are on the left side. But first of all, let me say thank you. How that happened. Being ignorant, being not paying attention, being hushed, being silenced, because part of my family is Jewish, so I know all that kind of stuff. But it was always that we couldn't talk about it. It was always like you can't say anything about it. Just behave. It happened. Don't speak openly about it. And by not speaking openly about it, that's how the other side could take over. So if you have a problem, that's why I'm speaking openly. In Dutch, I'm speaking more loudly and more clearly. There's almost no level. There's no level in hardness of talking. I'm not trying to be friendly. I'm not giving in names, but I'm there, and I'm always telling exactly how it is in my own words, and how I feel about it, and that's how I deal with it. And the people who are following me on the internet in Holland, they're mostly male. So, but the other podcasters or other journalists, they're having females over. So everybody's doing their own thing and their own job, and reaching into the people who are following me. I like to hear about what I'm talking about. So yeah, it's I'm really happy that Canada came over 19 years ago and was able to liberate us. And if you look at, and if you get it back nowadays, there was no NATO. We didn't have no NATO, and now the NATO is taking over that part. Like we're protecting your freedom, we're protecting, but a German guy, he started the NATO. A wrong German guy. And the same thing with all those kind of programs. Yeah. You're welcome.
Hugh Porter, just a little further away. My first degree was political science, and in my youth I took a revolutionary politics course. And the one take off that I got out of all that is when you destroy the middle class of a country, you destroy its stability.
Yeah.
And we've had nothing in this country but the destruction of the middle class for probably the last 25 years at least. And everybody is being forced to become dependent on government handouts, which that's the road that leads everybody down to being under control. And one other comment, on YouTube I saw a little article by this guy, and I can't remember his name for the life of me, but he was resisting the Nazis as they were taking over Germany, and he ended up being in a concentration camp and died just before the end of the war. But he wrote a dissertation where he stated that stupidity was more dangerous than evil, because evil you can identify. Stupidity is...
You can't do nothing about it.
Yeah.
If you're stupid, you're stupid.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, thank you, sir. That's what I love about this group of freedom people. Everybody has their own knowledge, and you actually studied political science, and you trust the expert, right? Yeah. Well, you got some knowledge about it, and it's always the middle class who needs to run out. It's always attack on the farmers, because then food is giving you the power to fight back and all that kind of stuff. Working hard for your own, supporting, earning your own money, make sure that you can support your own life. Well, thank you for being here, sir, because we need you other guys like you.
One other thing I will say is, I certainly now... once upon a time, I was a rabid Canadian, but I'm an Albertan to the core. I grew up in the prairies.
Nice.
And, what Alberta needs to do is bring our pension into Alberta, have an Alberta police force, and we need an Alberta militia to protect us.
Yeah. Well, I do agree, but step by step by step. Otherwise, it will be first let that referendum in. I think in the APP there's a sort of think tank going in there, asking, talking about all those steps afterwards. What needs to be happening with the currency? What needs to be happening with the army? What needs to be happening with how the majority is going to earn money?
If we're independent, we won't have an army. That's why we need a militia beforehand.
I'm not sure. That's your obligation. That's about the Albertans. I can't answer that for you. I'm not a citizen of Alberta. But when the referendum part is coming in, these are all kinds of questions that needs to be answered and think about and needs to be in place. But at least you can do that by yourself.
Well, the one thing the Prosperity project needs to do is they need to outline how court systems are going to work, how the civil service is going to work, what kind of legal system we're going to have, so to get people feeling more secure, and that needs to be phrased fairly openly, because the concept, we're going to be independent, that's a big void. You want to know what you're going to step into with it.
Well, if it's a big deal. There is a lot, but I'm not an expert in the APP. I think in the audience are, and I think Chris is able to answer that.
So that is something we hear a lot.
Mm-hmm.
There's lots of great suggestions about what things the APP should do. The reason why we're focused on the referendum specifically is because a referendum doesn't mean we're independent the next day. A referendum triggers all of those things. And I always encourage people when they say, you should do this, you should do that, do it. Write it. Submit it. Like, all of these things are things that the citizens of an independent Alberta are going to decide after, right? It's not the APP that's doing that. We're laying out the groundwork. This is how we get there. But these other questions, they're all citizen things. And we always talk about we want by the people, for the people. Well, we are the people. So if it's going to be by the people, then we do those things. It's never going to be the APP that does it. I do want to caution about anyone who's wishes to build a militia. So in this country, according to our supreme law, the only crime worse than forming a militia is actual treason. It is completely forbidden to do anything in this country to do with a militia. It's illegal to own or have a bat by your door for the purpose of defending yourselves against anyone in authority. That's illegal. If you say, I have these things to defend myself against the government, you have committed a crime. Mm-hmm. That's the problem. We don't have a right to a militia. And that's one of the reasons why Alberta needs to be independent, is because if we're going to have an independent nation by the people, for the people, we have to defend ourselves. And if we don't have an army that's to defend the people, we can't enforce any of the rights and freedoms that we want. That's why the referendum's important.
I hope. Yeah, I agree on that. Sure. Step by step by step by step. But thinking about it, it's the first step, and being here, that's the best thing. Sure.
So when you're there, would you anything you like would do? Would you be watched by like police and stuff?
Yeah. Yes, I am.
Okay.
Mostly by lady police.
Yeah. And I want to be strip served. No, yeah, it's no. Great question. Thank you for being here, young man. Yes, but my father raised me well, and I've grown some balls, and I'm always asking for people who are stepping up, and I think I'm stepping up, and by you being here, you're doing a great job. Thank you.
Hi again. Anyways, Alexander Stolonitsyn, he said that power is poison, if anybody's ever read the book, and that's what we have, a whole bunch of people at the top that are drinking the poison. The other thing is, I don't know, everybody knows the KGB because of movies, but then there's the Stasi. I don't know how many people know of them. They were really great at doing their job in East Germany. And right now, if you look at what they used to do, 1 out of every 13 people was a snitch during that time period. So you just think how many would be in here snitches if we want to go towards tyranny and communism. And that's what people need to stand up and start thinking about how they want to live their lives.
In Holland, during the war, the Dutch snitched the most Jewish people. They've been giving 5 guilders at that time. And so the most Jewish people are, and not only Jewish, there were red-headed and travelers and all those people, been deported in Holland by schnitzers. But what was the other question? Mark? Well, people in, I think there are 2 kinds of people. And there are people who run on power, and there are people who run on honesty. And we have loads of people in politics who run on getting off, basically, literally, on power. And it has nothing to do with money. They don't care about money. They care about power. And the power is to do, the power is for him having fun and getting off of it, is that I need to be forced out of my car and get into an electric bus. They get off of that. That's power. And we're based on honesty, and we need to have money to support our life. That's a whole different mindset. But if you recognize it, that's the best thing already.
Just a couple of things. Firstly, I appreciate your comment about the middle class, because democracy cannot survive in any country that doesn't have a strong and thriving middle class. So the way you destroy democracy is you destroy the middle class. And the way you destroy the middle class is you make it too damned expensive for them to live. And that's what's happening here. It's just getting too expensive to live.
Exactly. Well, that's the whole thing about socialism, Marxism, communism, Maoism. It's the middle class needs to be run out, and that's what's happening. That's what's happening.
And the second thing I'd like to make an observation on is you talked about a militia. Well, there's a couple of things to consider there. One is that great comment by that was made on that, but. The thing about the Canadian Army is that the officers in the Canadian Army are sworn to obey only lawful commands. And a classic example of that was when the RCMP were doing their gun grab down on the flood down in southern Alberta. They were escorted by Army. And when the RCMP started knocking in doors and taking people's firearms out of their homes that were properly stored, the Army said, "We're not doing this. This is against the law." And they pulled back, and they refused to cooperate with the RCMP when they broke the law. So when you think about Canada and the Army and Alberta moving towards independence, most of the officers in the Army will refuse to obey orders that are unlawful.
Which is obligated, I guess. If you need to be president to something that you don't want or it's against the law, you should say no, and I'm not doing this.
Well, I was an officer. I know that is the rule is you do not obey an unlawful command. So, and the other thing to consider about the military is that a good portion of Canada's military are Saskatchewan and Alberta farm boys. And if we succeed in our referendum, they will come home. So it's not something we need to worry about.
Well, and if you have your own army, you can do, and you don't have to go to war, and there is a fire somewhere, a fire somewhere, you can send those guys in. They've got the staff having, but these are all the things that you need to think about and gonna vote on. So do that.
And the last comment I'll make is that I'm wholeheartedly in favor of the postulation that what we need to do is win a referendum. All of this other garbage will sort itself out.
No. Everybody needs to fight their own fight. That's why I'm going home. Yeah. So you need to fight your own.
We need to win the referendum. All of this other stuff, we will sort it out after we've had a successful referendum.
Correct.
And we can't, the referendum is what gives us the authority to do what we need to do. If we can't win the referendum, we can do nothing. And that's exampled by 120 years of oppression by the federal government over the prairie provinces.
I'm from common sense, and it makes sense.
I just want to make a little announcement here because they were talking about the 50-meter city stuff and all that shenanigans. There's going to be an event in Red Deer on July the 23rd at 7 p.m. The city mayors, the city councilors will be there as well. That's going to be at the festival hall. So if you want to see what is at the festival hall at 4214 at 58th Street in Red Deer. That information is also on the freedomcanada.net website if you want to take a look at this. And I should share it on social media as well. So that's going to be at the festival hall at 58th Street in Red Deer. Also, that information is also on the calendar as well too. The title of it's about the 50-meter city stuff. Yeah, exactly, that kind of stuff. No, so basically that event is about is basically city councilors who are going to be there, who are going to get questions from citizens like us. Yeah, I'm just going to...
Well, the fellow that's putting it on, so this is going to be public driven. It's not going to be having the government like the 3 previous meetings or whatever there has been. So it'll be more of the population that shows up that will be doing the talking.
And I'll be recording that event as well, too.
Speaking with Gabriel today, so far the councillors, they're afraid to come, or I can't say why they aren't coming, but so far. So if anyone can speak to them and suggest, we really want you there, we're not asking you to answer questions, but come and hear what we have to say at least. So I think we need to put some pressure on our councillors, even if you're not in the Red Deer per se. I think it's still, you guys want to come in here too. It's coming to your cities too. Some of you may, it's good that Cochrane and a few other cities have woken up, but Red Deer, I don't think they're awake yet.
Vote on people who has balls and want to pressure back. So if we need to have those in power. If the man, there's someone there, and if the woman, they've got balls too. So we need those people in politics that need to speak up. Yeah.
If you look at the track record of Holland, and you look at where we are in Canada now, how far behind Holland are we? Are we looking at 5 or 10 years that we're in the situation that Holland is? Are we looking at months, decades? What would you say based on what you see?
2 years ago I was here, and basically what's a half year, 3/4 of a year, what's happening in Holland happened. It's going to happen here in Canada and Alberta. It's not. It's certainly not decades. It's going to be faster, but it's going to be different. Maybe different topics, because in rural areas you can't build a 50-minute city. You don't have the power grid for it. You don't have the. But there are other things in it that they're probably going to enforce you on. So you're already noticing a couple of other things. You see power lines coming up. That's because there are more citizens coming in. As 2 years ago and now, it's cheaper for me to come to Canada. That means your currency is worth less. And that's by people who are making stupid mistake. You see, there are coming in more tourists. Why are more tourists coming into Canada? Because it's cheaper to come in. And that's economy based. So it's not going to be 10 years. Maybe it's a half year, 2 years, 3 years, but not 10 years. It's going to be faster.
Jasper, all our major cities have the infrastructure. All of our major cities in Canada have that infrastructure ready.
Well, you see it, but in major cities there are more liberal thought and thinkings, so they're more happy to oblige. But for a 50-minute city grid, you need to have everything in place. You need to have a train station. You need to have roads. You need to have people living together. You need to have shops. All that kind of stuff. Otherwise, it can't be in place. So it's easier to get that in cities. So it's logic, but you will probably gonna see it here, but differently. But I don't like dating girls in Amsterdam. I don't like dating girls in Den Haag. I don't like dating liberal girls because of that thought and theory. I don't want to come into Amsterdam. Sorry.
So we good, Bunny? Okay, so thanks for coming, and I think that's going to be the end of the presentation. So thanks for coming. I bring Ronald. Oh, call.
Sorry, I didn't know. It's okay. No, I just want this. Go away. So we always start our meetings with prayer, and Kurt got kerflustered. And so I said, I'm going to do it after. So my friend wrote this the other day, and okay. He's my brother, and he thinks he can be bossy. So she sent this to me, and I thought it was so appropriate for us as a APP and for a province. So I just ask that you bow your heads as we end this. God, keep Alberta forever in the palm of your hand. As we spread our wings to be all you've created us to be, may we stay forever free. Help us to serve each other in a way that brings honor and glory to you. When we wander and become self-seeking, I pray you will guide us back to the truth and the light that sets us free. We were born for such a time as this, and I ask for the strength and wisdom we need to move mountains and people, obstacles that stand in the way of Alberta being all you created it to be. Your word says, seek ye first the kingdom of God, then everything else will be added. Show us the way to do this. Make it clear. Provide godly leaders to lead Alberta in a way that brings honor and glory to you in everything we do. In Jesus' name, I pray. Also, I have not read this, I will confess. I have printed out 2 copies, and Bonnie and I are going to read it, as I printed out her copy. So on Thursday, Chris? Thursday this came out. And from APP, it's The Value of Freedom. It is a draft, fully costed fiscal plan for an independent Alberta. So if you haven't looked at it, or I listened to Jeff Rath the other day, and the numbers are very conservatively done. So if you're into this, or even if you're not, try to get through it. And that's my plan, is to try to get through this, because I think the more we are informed, when people ask us questions. I was at the Ponoka Stampede and for 4 days, and then we were at the Whistle Stop. And there were questions asked that I didn't know the answers to. So I think the more we get informed as a group, not just those who stand up front, because you're having coffee with your neighbors. So take the time to at least peruse it. And lots of other questions. I think we don't take all the time that we should in reading the research on the Alberta Prosperity Project that all these guys have done, because sometimes the questions come up in events like this over and over again, and the answers are on the website. But we get lazy. So, I included, I need to go and print some stuff off because I'm better with print than on a screen. So go peruse the resources and the questions, and that's so that you can help everybody. I want to thank Max and Jasper, and thank you all for coming. Bonnie, did you have anything else?
We've accomplished amazing things, all of us Albertans. Don't be scared of this stuff that he's telling us. We got this.
And anybody who's in the area, there is a town hall in Rimbey on the 16th at 7 o'clock at the Lougheed Center. APP, yep. And I don't know who's talking. Oh yeah, I don't know. I just haven't looked at the poster. I could look that up, but
16 in Renby. Also, if you have events about if you have events about independence in general, province-wide, all the events like this from town hall you're just referring to in Renby, they are on the Alberta Prosperity Project website, but they're also on Freedom Calendars as well too. I know everybody here has a piece of paper, so I will ask you to write the following website: AB, so Alpha Bravo, Exit, Echo X-Ray India Tango.ca. You're going to see all the events from not only Alberta Prosperity Project, but also other events that not necessarily APP related, that talk about the dependence, and town hall meetings as well. And that website, you're going to see all the town hall meetings that were recorded about independence, not just APP, but others as well too. And there's also a section on the website that goes to a YouTube playlist. The town hall is also a YouTube playlist, but when you click in there, you're going to see essentially all the clips from the town halls that you can share it with people. This is like 1 or 2 minute clips that you can share with your people as well too. Very important to share that information to people. And I just want to thank Jasper for being here. Thanks for everybody here for attending, and thanks for the APP team as well too.
Ladies and gentlemen, well, thank you. I'm still here, so if there are questions left over, come on here, and if you want to hug, ladies, come on over. Well,
yeah.
Thank you.
And if you want to see the 50-minute sit-it bullshit app, it's in there. I'm going to take a picture, and I'm going to put it on the website.
Well, thank you, and enjoy your evening.
That was awesome, man.
Nice.
Thanks for taking the time to take in the chairs.